Welcome back to the fields of Perthshire. Well, we've got some of the gang back together. Furthest away we have got Albert, who's on the Garrett AT Pro International. Nearest we have got Sneaky Pete, who is on his brand new XP Deus 2. And I am also on the XP Deus 2. Pete has gone with program 6, which is the deep HC, the deep high conductor, and I am on program 3, which is the sensitive FT. Now people have been asking what version I am on, so let me turn it on again to show you. I am on version 0.71. 0.71. So if that means anything to anyone, then hopefully that is of use to some of you. I always go to square tones. I just found it a little bit more agreeable to my ears. So let's see what we get. Both of the guys digging almost straight away. Pete seems to have got junk. Don't know what Albert's got, but I forgot to mention. So on the right hand side is that beautiful big hammered coin that I got a few nights ago, almost in the pitch black. And I did say at the time I thought it was the biggest hammered coin that I had ever found. So in comparison, there's the previous biggest hammered coin that I had ever found. And it is just a millimetre or so bigger. So it is definitely, by a very small distance, the biggest coin, hammered coin, that I've ever found. So on the left hand side is James VI, which is a 12 pence or a shilling, and on the right hand side is Elizabeth I, and that is a shilling as well, another 12 pence. So Elizabeth I ruled from 1558 to 1603, and James VI followed her. He was the son of Mary Queen of Scots, and James VI of Scotland became James I of England in 1603, and he ruled till 1625. And you'll note on the back there is a distinct difference between the shields, because Elizabeth was only Queen of England and claimant of the royal family of France, which is the reason the fleur-de-lis are there. In contrast, James VI, much busier. He's got the Harp of Ireland, he's got the fleur-de-lis of France, he's got the 3 lions of England, and up here he's also got the rampant lion of Scotland. So look at those 2 beautiful big coins. We're going to head in the direction of where it came from, because the field that we found it in has been ploughed. So fingers crossed there are more goodies to be had. We have a first diggable signal, and yet again it's a quick one. It's come in the first minute and a half or so. So as I've said many times before, it's amazing what a difference a field being ploughed makes. So coming through pretty solid 64. It's not a brilliant tone, to be honest. It is a mid-tone, but sounds a little bit but let's give it a go. It's a beautiful sunny day, but it is a little bit windy. The good thing is though is it's very easy to dig, and more importantly I have remembered my Garrett carrot, because I forgot it last time, and that is signal number 1. What is it? It is something copper, and it is what we call in the business junk, I do believe. Not sure what that is. Let's put it down as tractor related, but no coin on the first hole, no ancient relic. We've got an ear blowing signal here. 91 Oh, just changed programs by mistake. That's fine. So, 91. Pretty small target. Could have a bit of silver here. That would be lovely. Relatively shallow target. Could be silver. Could be the dreaded aluminum somewhere over here. Okay, somewhere over here. Just get you a bit closer. Not there. Not there. Ah, look at that. Damn. Damn, damn, damn. Now that is a great big thingy-majiggy. It looks almost like an old screw bottle top. What a nightmare. I thought I was into at least a coin, possibly even silver. Right, I'll give it a little clean up off camera, try and get all that mud out. Maybe there's a brand or a maker's mark or something. I'll come back to you in a second. Not quite sure what it is, because it's got a thread on the inside as well as the outside. I thought for a minute it was a version of the Ringlemere Gold Cup, if anyone's familiar with that, made in solid gold from the Iron Age or the Celtic period. It's got these lovely lines on it, but unfortunately this is aluminium or aluminum. So I don't know, maybe it's some sort of elaborate bottle top, or maybe it's something else. Either way, unfortunately, junk. It's been fairly quiet. That's about 20 minutes in. I've only had those couple of signals, well, diggable ones so far. This one here, 74, 75. I wouldn't say it's a coin, but might be some sort of relic. Only one way to find out. Pretty shallow, well, in the top 3 or 4 inches, and somewhere in here. Oh, looks like maybe a bit of lead right there. Is it a lead seal, or is it just a random piece of lead? Looks like just a random piece of lead, I think. Yep, I think it is. Or is it? Is it? Yeah, I think it is. I think it's just a rough melted cast piece of lead. Oh well. Date wise, who knows? It's been in the ground a while, it's oxidised, it's gone white. Don't rub the lead too much, no gloves, and date wise, who knows? Could be 100 years old, could be 1,000 years old, could be 2,000 years old. Either way, unfortunately, more junk. Just having a catch up with Sneaky Pete, and he has got himself a coin and 3/4, which is fairly old. These are both Turners, Scottish copper 2 pences. You can see the top one on the right is in terrible condition. The other one might clean up a little bit, but these would have normally had a thistle on them and the Latin inscription Nemo me impune lacessit, which is the motto of the Stuarts, the House of Stuart, which dates all the way back to 1371 and runs all the way through to the early 1700s, 1714. That's when the Stuart line ended, and I suspect both of these are either Charles I or Charles II, which would put them sometime between 1625 and 1649 for Charles I, and 1660 and 1685 for Charles II. But they did also continue with James VII and William and Mary as well. But it's a start. Another little find for Pete. He's got himself a little star. Now, question is it the Star of David, symbol of, is it Judaism or Jewishism? I can't remember. But anyway, is it the Star of David, or is it something military, of maybe a cap badge or such like? Date wise, I'm guessing within the last 100 to 150 years, but it's got a bit of age to it. But if you know, then let us know in the comments below. We've got another ear blowing signal. Solid 80. This stubble's a bit of a nightmare because it's just been cut. It's quite stiff, really difficult to swing your detector. Seems like a pretty small target. I am going to go with a halfpenny. Hopefully, first coin for me. My God, the wind has really just whipped up out of nowhere. I suppose we are getting to a more exposed part of the field. Relatively shallow signal. Came out in the first bit. I think I've moved it. I think somewhere in here. Oh no, it's not a coin. Ah, but it is a buckle. And it looks like quite a nice one. Did I turn that off? I did. Okay. Oh, it's Pete's that I'm hearing. He's digging a hole right next to me. That's quite nice, isn't it? Now that is a little buckle, which looks like it's got a little bit of decoration on it. I like that. I like that a lot. So let's give it a wee wash. I know it's copper based. Don't want anyone to get upset with me to using water on it. It's quite stable. Okay, a few little lines of decoration on there. I'll let it dry out and then I will come back to you. Okay, giving it a little dry off. Looks like it's copper alloy, a little bit of iron incrustation on it. And this is the back, and this is the front. So it's a couple of linear bits of decoration. You'll see the little knobbly bits. They're not uniform, they're not symmetrical, so that would suggest to me that this has been handmade. It's not been machined. And I think it's probably got a bit of age to it. Could it be, I would say at least George the First, which would put it sort of 1714, 1727 or thereabouts. But it could be even earlier. It could be back to the Stuarts, to the Jameses, Jacobean, James VI, James the First, 1600s, early or late 1500s. What do you reckon? It's had an iron pin, you can see here, bit of iron corrosion. And yeah, that's nice. I like that. I've not had a nice buckle for a while. Always good to find. Let me know in the comments below. I checked the hole where I got the buckle and no other remnants. I'm assuming the iron pin has long disintegrated, which would be what suggests that it's got a fair bit of age to it, because for an iron pin to disintegrate in the ground is going to take a good few hundred years, I would reckon. And do what I always do when I find something good, spiral out from the find spot, and maybe 5-6 meters away we have an 8889. Right about there. So, is it a coin? Is it another buckle? Only one way to find out. What I do know though is that it's raining, and according to the Met Office, there's supposed to be no chance of rain whatsoever here today. So well done them for getting it wrong yet again. I haven't seen anything yet, but I think it's going to be a coin. The reason being, I dug out 2 spadefuls and the signal almost completely vanished. until I took out that little third spadeful right there, and now it's coming through like a banging signal, and that would normally tell me that possibly it's a coin and that I had turned the coin on its edge so the detector wasn't picking it up. Either way, I hope I'm right, otherwise I'm going to look like a bit of a fool, but possibly we've got a coin, so let's see. Ah, ta-da! Do you see what I see? Right there. Ho ho ho! We have got a coin, and it's a nice thin coin as well. Now this could be quite early. This could be George the First, or it could even be Givilium, or even earlier than that. That definitely looks like a coin to me. Right, now it is copper. I know, people are going to be upset, but it's quite a stable coin, and I'm going to give it a wee scoosh. And I can see already that there is a head right in the middle, looking to the right hand side. So the question is it one of the Georges, George the First or George the Third? Because George the First and George the Third look to the right hand side, George the Second looks to the left hand side, and could also be Givilium, William the Third, because he looks to the right hand side as well. So that's William the Third, William and Mary. So I'm going to give it a little time to dry out. I am hazarding a guess towards George the First, because it's very thin, it's not perfectly circular, and a lot of his coins were not particularly well made. So I'll give it a dry out, I'll give it a wee rub-a-dub, and I'll get back to you. Well done yet again to the XP Deus 2 for sniffing out this coin. So that is the heads side of the coin, and with a little bit of dry out, a little rub, I can see G-E-O-R, which is Georgios. Georgios. Now on the back it's pretty toasted. That's where Britannia would have been, and it's not particularly well made coin. It's a little bit dome shaped, it's not perfectly round, and you can see a head in the centre looking to the right hand side. So I am going with George the First. George the First, which would put it somewhere between 1714 and 1727, give or take. George was also the Elector of Hanover, which is in modern day Germany, and he got the job thanks to his mother, Sophia of Hanover. So Queen Anne, who ruled until 1714, she knew that she was on her way out. She was the last of the Stuarts. So the Stuarts date all the way back to Walter Stewart, who later became Stuart, which is where the name comes from. He had married Marjorie Bruce, the daughter of Robert the Bruce, and in 1371 produced a son called Robert II. And when David died without children, King David II, Robert became Robert II of Scotland. And the Stuarts ruled from 1371 all the way through until Anne in 1714. When Anne died without children, they'd passed something called the Act of Settlement, which was to prevent a Catholic or anyone married to a Catholic becoming king. And they went through all the lineage of all the major households in Europe. So they discovered about 160 who had the greatest claim to be queens or kings of the United Kingdom, and they were all excluded because they were all Roman Catholic. And Eventually they found a woman called Sophia of Hanover, who was quite an incredibly intelligent woman. She was very well educated in science, philosophy, and before she could be made queen, she was struck by lightning and killed. So that then meant that it passed to her son, George the First, who I believe we have in this coin, becoming ever more apparent with every little rub of the bendy thumb. And then George the First became King of Great Britain in 1714, and by all accounts, in comparison to his well-educated and articulate mother, he was a doofus. But still, that's what happens. Great, brilliant coin. 17, 18, 19, over 300 years old. Great start.